Guys, this is Joana Saahirah with a new Juju live session. Welcome to this live session where I'm going to answer some of the most interesting questions about evolution in Egyptian dance. I'm not going to focus on evolution for professionals because I think that's an entire new different chapter or conversation. I'm going to talk about evolution for dancers of all levels, for beginners, intermediate dancers, for the dancers that do it for fun, not necessarily as a profession, okay? So in my mind, there are two very different standards and two very different ways of approaching evolution, as an amateur and as a professional. And today we're gonna go for the amateur, which I also believe is gonna apply to the professionals, okay? So everything I'm gonna share with you today is gonna be useful, I believe, for everyone that practices Egyptian dance on every level, from beginners to masters, okay? So throughout the years, I have received different questions via email, Facebook, Instagram, people that reach out to me with questions around evolution. How do I evolve in my dance? How do I avoid getting bored, getting stale, getting stuck? There are many dancers who start full of enthusiasm and then they stop, they quit. Many dancers quit Egyptian dance. They find a stale point in their evolution. They get bored. They feel they're not evolving anymore. They're not discovering anything new, or they get tired of the competition and the cat fighting inside of the field. So there are many reasons why people drop Egyptian dance and why they very often sabotage their own evolution. And I'm gonna tackle some of them in this session, okay? So first of all, feel welcome to join me live if you're watching me live, and share your own questions on evolution in Egyptian dance. What would you like me to answer? Share your experience as well. Do you feel you are evolving continuously in your dance? Yes or not? And how? How do you feel you're evolving? And what were the steps or the events or the teachers that made you take that leap of evolution, that big development, that big push that really changed your dance, that really upgraded your dance? I'm curious to know all about it. You're either gonna share it with me live in the comments, or when you see this in the replay, feel welcome to tell me all about it, okay? Before I dive into the questions I have made notes of, I'm gonna tell you a bit about myself. If you don't know me yet, I'm a world-renowned Oriental dancer, teacher, choreographer, author, and I'm also the creator of the pioneering Joana Saahirah's World and Joana Saahirah's online dance school, delivering authentic Egyptian dance, personal discovery, and empowerment. And here's the first note I would like to offer you. Evolution for me, Joana, in Egyptian dance, cannot be separated from your evolution as a person. This is one of the pillars of my teaching method. It is one of the pillars of my career. When I started dancing in Egypt, when I started traveling the world to teach, to deliver conferences, when I wrote about Egyptian dance, all the time I had this in the back of my mind, which is I cannot evolve as an Oriental dancer if I don't evolve as a person. In other words, the skills I will need to push my dance forward to higher and higher levels are also skills that I will need to develop for myself as a human being. And this is one of the aspects I love the most about Egyptian dance, is that if you're doing it for real, and independently of being a professional or not, but if you're doing it for real, if you're into it to learn it in depth and to enjoy it for a long time, you will eventually discover that a lot of the things that you are gonna be asked to develop in your dance are the things that are gonna make you a more self-confident, more creative, kinder, more vulnerable, better human being. And this is, I mean, it's fabulous, and it's reason enough to love Egyptian dance and to keep on teaching it and practicing it for more than 20 years, which is my case. Now, what are the questions I have selected? I have selected just a few There are many questions related with the evolution of Egyptian dance. I picked the ones I thought were going to be more helpful to all of you. Then again, feel welcome to share your own as we are live, okay? Or in the replay. So first thing is, how do we define evolution in Egyptian dance? And this is the first awareness point I want you to have, is that for different people, evolution will look differently. Okay, it really depends on your goals. It depends on where you want to go with your dance. It depends on the benefits you want to reap from your dance. And it also depends on the kind of teachers you catch along the way. Okay, because Egyptian dance can be practiced in different levels of depth. I can practice it superficially, just for fun, to lose weight, you know, or just to move, like Zumba. I call it the Zumba level, okay? Nothing against Zumba. I love Zumba just for having fun. But I don't go to a Zumba class to learn Latin dances in depth. I go to a Zumba class to have fun and do a little of cardiovascular work. That's it. So the same way we have a Zumba class, we have a belly dance gym class, as I like to call it, okay? Which is a more superficial approach to Egyptian dance. So imagine that's where you are. Nothing wrong with it. It's great. Why not? But the evolution you're gonna have in that kind of level of Egyptian dance is not the same that you could have if you were studying with a professional teacher that is going to teach you the technique, the music, the culture, the history, the interpretation, and all of the parallel skills you need to develop to get in depth inside of the magic and the transformation of Egyptian dance. So the first thing about evolution is to know, what is it for me, right? What is evolution for me? And what are my goals in my dance? Okay? And there are no wrong goals. I don't believe there are wrong or correct goals. They're just different goals. So if I want to evolve and if I want to get deeply into the language of Egyptian dance and enjoy it creatively, artistically, and also personally, I will need to have professional teachers or teacher guiding me. This is the first thing. Define where you want to go. Define what is evolution for you. And according to that, choose a good teacher or teachers wisely. Okay? Because that is going to shape your evolution. And it's going to shape how far you're gonna go in your dance. All right? The more prepared, the more professional the teachers you choose along the way, the higher you can go, the more distant you can go, the more you can develop. So choosing a teacher, I think it's like number one thing that you have to consider when you think about, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to evolve in my dance. Choose wisely. Choose the teacher for the kind of evolution you want to experience. This is so important, okay? Hello. Hi, Tran. So, second thing I would like to share with you. Egyptian dance for a season or for many seasons? This is a question I've received again and again because, again, I don't believe everything is for everyone, and I don't believe all of us are gonna fall in love with Egyptian dance forever and ever, and all of us are gonna do it all our lives. I have been doing it for more than 20 years professionally, and I have no intention in stopping it. It's the most interesting thing, hands down, I've ever seen. It's the most interesting, fascinating, and constructive dance I have ever come across, and I have studied many kinds of dances since I was very little. So it's not that I don't have experience in other dances. I came from classical ballet, and Egyptian dance is hands down the most interesting of all the dance styles I studied. But I don't believe it is the same for everyone and for the same length of time. So for me, thinking in terms of evolution for 20 or 30 or 40 years, it's perfectly normal, also because Egyptian dance is my profession. And for other people, it will be just a season. It will be 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 6 months, and it's okay. Again, it really depends on what you're searching for. If you find juice in it, if you find answers in it, if you find benefits in it, And if you're lucky and wise enough to choose your teachers well, so that you can really create a path of evolution that will increase in interest as time goes by, okay? But I don't believe all of us are here for the long run. I don't believe all of us will be doing Egyptian dance forever and ever, and that's perfectly fine, okay? Some of us are in it for forever, some of us are in it for a season, and my advice is just enjoy it while you're doing it. And again, know that this can be an incredible tool for self-development. It's not just about memorizing choreographies and joining fancy festivals. No, it's much more than that. If you want to go there, if you dare to dream a little bit higher, and if you are smart enough to choose teachers who can take you there, okay? Now, some of the questions I have received. How do I evolve as an Oriental dancer? This is the million-dollar question. How do I evolve as an Oriental dancer? There are many things I could tell you. I made a few notes on some of the most important things. How do you evolve? First of all, I've already mentioned one very important thing, which is choosing your teacher or teachers wisely. I can tell you that in my path, this was a big thing. I was lucky, but I was also smart and very savvy, because I knew life is finite. You know, we don't live forever. And I knew I wanted to learn in depth from the best. So I went directly to the icons. I studied with Mahmoud Reda. I worked with Mahmoud Reda as well. I studied with Soher Zeki, Mona Said, Aza Sharif, Nagwa Fuad, Shokri Mohammed, the best of the best, the creme de la creme. I call them the tail of the dragon. It's this generation of Oriental dancers that really brought the magic and the soul of Oriental dance intact to the table. So I didn't lose time with less than iconic teachers. And for me, this was a big thing in my evolution, that I didn't spend years, time, resources, energy, money on unprofessional teachers. And nowadays, this is what I see, that people go to all kinds of workshops. They see a cool image with a lot of likes on internet. They presume, okay, a lot of likes must mean she or he is very good, so I'm gonna attend this class or this workshop. And they don't have, people generally speaking don't have the criteria and the clarity to choose the professional teachers that will really allow them to evolve. They're very often choosing the popular teachers, or the ones with more likes, more followers, even if the likes and followers often come from marketing strategies and scandals and stuff that has nothing to do with professional value and talent. So you have to be very smart in the choice of your teacher or teachers, and avoid losing time and resources in workshops and courses that are close to nothing in terms of value, okay? Choose your teachers wisely, always, not only when you start, always. What else? Showing up and doing your best in your classes, in the courses that you attend, is very important. But there is another side of your evolution that most dancers forget. And this is something I tell my students all the time. Half of the job, we do it together, me and them, and the other half, it's done by themselves, So I remember when I started studying Egyptian dance in Madrid with Shokri Mohammed. I was studying in the Conservatoire of Acting to be an actress, and I was also taking classes with Shokri Mohammed, who was an incredible magician. He was a master of masters. And I remember when I left the classes, every time I left one of his classes, I ran home and I practiced for at least 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours by myself. So I brought all that I had learned in that class into my living room in front of a small mirror. I remember as if it was yesterday. and I repeated and repeated and revised the class. And what did he say? What did he do? What notes did he deliver? I took notes. I practiced the movements. I practiced the combinations. I created my own combinations from the combinations he taught in class. This private practice time that was not followed by a teacher was as important, if not more, than the classes I was taking with Chokri. And I'm already telling you, he was a master of masters, okay? But I realized throughout time how important that private practice time was to develop everything I was receiving in my classes. And this is what students usually do. They may focus a lot on the classes, and that's great. If you show up for a course, show up 100%. But then I think most dancers underestimate their private practice time. They don't think it's that important, and I'm here to tell you it is super important, okay? If you want to evolve in your technique, in your musicality, in your creativity, in your self-confidence, in your resourcefulness, in your independence, in the creation of your own style, you're not going to receive it only from a teacher or teachers. You're going to receive it from yourself when you create a sustainable schedule of private dance practice, where you not only revise everything you're learning from your teacher or teachers, but you're also creating your own dance sequences from the material you're receiving from the teachers. This is super important. Write it down, okay? Then, interest in the culture and in the history. Again, this is something that most dancers who study Egyptian dance are not aware of or are not interested in. And I find this very strange, because studying the history, the mentality, and the culture behind the dance is, for me, one of the most interesting things around Egyptian dance. Now, of course, I lived and performed in Egypt for almost a decade. And even before that, I had already studied there. I went there with Chokri Mohammed for the first time, and then I went there by myself. I went all over Egypt. I immersed myself in the culture and in the history, I mean, like a maniac. And I don't mean that every dancer who studies Egyptian dance necessarily will go to Egypt, necessarily will live in Egypt and learn the Arabic language and learn the culture and build a career there. Then again, I'm not talking to professionals. I'm not talking for professionals. I'm talking to everyone who is involved in Egyptian dance. And it's not realistic to tell my students, in order to get involved with the culture, you have to live in Egypt. You have to perform in Egypt. It's not realistic. Not everyone will do that. Even a minority of minorities does that. And then a very much reduced minority from that minority succeeds at that, okay? But I do think that you have to be involved with the culture somehow, and there are many ways to get involved. In my courses at Joana Saahirah's Online Dance School, and also in my private coaching programs, I include a mix of different skills and different dimensions or areas to develop with my students. And one of the dimensions is knowing the culture and the mentality. So when you're studying baladi, for instance, or shaabi, or a folkloric style, is it possible to evolve in that style without knowing the history and the culture behind it? I think not. It's not. This is my opinion, my professional opinion, and personal too, okay? So get curious. Then again, choose teachers who know the culture, who know the history, who know their stuff, as opposed to teachers, Egyptian or foreigners, who just drop a choreography over your head and bye-bye, ma salama, see you next year, okay? This is important for your evolution, even if you feel it's not. Even if you think that focusing on the steps and the choreographies is the thing that is gonna make you push forward, okay? No, it's a combination of many things, all right? Because the culture and the mentality gives you information about the posture, about the character, about the feeling, about the context around that style that you're developing. And the more you know about the context, the more creative and respectful of the culture you can be, okay? So I would say that having an interest, active interest in the history and the culture of Egyptian dance is super important for your evolution. Read about it, study with teachers who know about it, travel to the Arabic world, not only Egypt, go to Morocco. Morocco is gorgeous. Go to Lebanon, go to Egypt, of course, go to Turkey, go to places that are related somehow with the dance, and start to gather inspiration and information for your dance and also for your brain. Stimulate yourself. Fall in love not only with the steps but with the world around the steps, and this will give you an interest for life. It will give you the willingness, the desire to study it for life. Okay? Now, what else? This is a polemic one, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I do believe that you should study only with one teacher at a time, and this was an advice I received from Shokri Mohammed when I started studying Egyptian dance. I remember in Madrid there were a couple of teachers delivering classes, and at the time I was choosing. I wasn't sure yet who to choose, who will be my master, right? And when I took my first classes at Shokri's Las Piramides studio, I was taking classes with two other teachers, and I told him very innocently, and he told me, be careful with that. Choose one teacher, even if it's not me, but choose one teacher and stick with that person. Otherwise, it will be chaos. I thought, I felt a little annoyed when he told me that. Of course, as we usually say, ignorance is very arrogant. So I was so ignorant. I didn't know what he was mentioning, why he was telling me to choose only one. I said, why only one? And then with time I understood, when you're jumping from teacher to teacher, from style to style, from method to method, from pedagogy to pedagogy, there is no evolution in a straight line. You pick something from here, you pick something from there. Then some teachers have opposite views on things and you feel confused and you go to the right, but then you're pushed to the left, and then someone tells you it's this way, but then the other tells you it's that way. And there is no continuity, there is no consistency, there is no going from point A to point Z. So my serious advice is that you study with one teacher at a time. It doesn't mean you're going to study with that person forever. It means that when you choose one teacher, stay with them continuously and observe how much they're allowing you to grow. And stay with them until the moment when you feel I'm not growing anymore with this person. I may search for another master, someone who's going to push me forward in another direction, but for as long as you're growing, stay with that person. Be loyal and focused and consistent with your teacher. And this is not only a question of respect for the teacher, it's a respect for your evolutionary process. So stop being like this crazy bee, stinging here, stinging there, and in the end, it's a bloody chaos and you're not really getting anywhere. You're just getting the illusion of evolving because you're collecting different information from different places, but you're not consistently growing in one clear, visible direction. So choose one teacher at a time, okay? What else? Focus, focus, focus. And I know we live in an age where we are pushed in all sorts of directions, right? We are invited to so many things, and it has never been more important to prune and to eliminate and to say no. I say no to a lot of interesting stuff, and I mean interesting stuff, but I cannot focus on everything at the same time. So look at your schedule, look at your goals, look at the goal for your evolution. Where do you want to reach? Where do you want to go? And focus on that path. Don't disperse yourself. Then again, don't pick here and there and there and there. And then at the end, you're overwhelmed, you're confused, you're saturated, and you don't see a real evolution. At the end, you don't see it. You say, I've been studying with this one and that one and this one and that one, and I've been doing this and that and that and that. And at the end, I don't see a real change. I'm not seeing real evolution. And you will not until you focus. Okay, focus on one course, focus on one teacher, focus on one goal. Focus, 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 and prune distractions as much as possible. Create your own dances and projects. Then again, this is super important even if you are not a professional dancer. Guys, I cannot stress this enough. Very often, dancers presume that the only moment, the only time when they can create something of their own is when they are professionals, or if they will become professionals. And it's not true. You can organize dance meetings in your town. You can see, your colleagues in a course. Who wants to meet? In physical, with their physical presence, or virtually? Who wants to dance together once per week? Who wants to organize an afla, a party? Who wants to organize a book club around Egypt, for instance? I find that there is no engagement, or there is not engagement enough amongst the students creating their own dance projects to keep them stimulated and to keep them going. And this is something that will not necessarily come from your teachers, it will come from each one of you, okay? So engage with your colleagues. Ask your teacher, why don't you organize a party? I'm willing to help you, for instance. Or why don't you organize an event where all of us can dance together once per month, or a meeting somewhere? Be proactive in the engagement with the dance and with your dance community. The more engaged you are, and the more activity and the more meetings and the more mutual communication and support you feel between you and your teacher, you and your colleagues, your dance colleagues, the more stimulated you will feel, the less alone you will feel in your evolutionary process, and also the most fun it is. So you're most likely to do it for a long time, okay? What else? Create your own thing. This is the last tip I'm gonna share for now. Create your own thing. So again, this comes from the personal practice space that I believe every dancer should have, right? I mean, I receive something from a teacher, a piece of a choreography, technique, any kind of information, and I take some extra time to practice it on my own, right? But aside from practicing it, what can I do with the things that I'm learning? This is always the question you should have in your mind in order to develop your own language and to feel that you're growing from within, not only from the outside in, from the information you receive in, but from the inside out. There are two kinds of evolution, okay? Notice this. So they should always come together. If I'm learning a new language, and Egyptian dance is a language, I always want to receive information from the outside in. That is what I'm learning from my teacher or teachers. And then I want to get information from the inside out. What am I doing with the things I'm learning? What am I creating of my own with the things that I'm learning? Sometimes I tell this example, okay? A few years ago, I wanted to take vacation, and being faithful to myself, I always want to learn something. So I choose, instead of going to the Bahamas or the Maldives and just catching some sun, I choose to do a creative writing course in Oxford in the United Kingdom. So I spent the entire summer closed inside an old and very old university or college inside the famous Oxford. And we had classes every single morning, and in the afternoon we were supposed to apply the things we had learned in the morning. That meant I had to be creative with my writing every single afternoon. So we would study something in the morning, let's suppose character or dialogue. And then in the afternoon, it was the moment when I asked myself, now what can I do with what I've learned this morning? What can I create of my own? What can I produce? So we were asked to produce every single day. And this is something that I find most dancers don't have, also because most teachers don't provide that space. And they don't provide the safety for students to try to do their own stuff in an environment that is supportive and kind and non-judgmental and non-competitive, Okay, and I think it is crucial that you create your own stuff from all the material you're learning from your teachers if you want to evolve. I mean, for real. Okay, now, how do I deal with boredom or the loss of interest in Egyptian dance? This is a big one, and this one I've heard perhaps more frequently than all the other questions I've heard around evolution in Egyptian dance. I'm bored, I'm stuck, I'm in a stale pond, I don't feel my dance is gonna go anywhere, I don't feel I'm improving, I don't feel stimulated anymore, I don't feel like I am evolving in any way, shape, or form, I'm repeating myself. Oh boy, I heard this so many times, and here's the thing. How to deal with that? First of all, I've already told you, I believe that Egyptian dance will come to people's lives for a season or forever. And I do believe it's not the same for everyone. And if you tell me I studied Egyptian dance for 5 years or for 5 months, and for me it was enough, I say, good for you. Good for you. You know, I've been studying it and practicing it professionally for more than 20 years. And I feel like a beginner. I feel like, oh, there's so much I don't know. And there is so much I want to discover. But that's me. And you're not me. And we don't have to be the same. Okay? So I think this, the question of how long you're studying it and when you get tired of it, it's personal, you know? And if you feel like you're not learning anything new and you're stuck, you're either going to search for another teacher, someone who can awaken your interest and your fire again, a professional teacher, or try something else. And then who knows, you will come back to Egyptian dance later on. It happens. It happens to a lot of dancers. They drop it, they're sick of it, they're stuck and they don't feel interested anymore. They search for other dance styles, they study other stuff, and then they feel the need to come back. And when they come back with all their passion. Why not? Why not? Now, if you don't want to quit, and if you want to do it not for a season but for a long time, there are a few things that you can do to avoid boredom and to avoid getting stale, okay? And some of them I have already answered, I've already given to you. So the first thing is to have the best teacher. Why? Because the best teacher or a professional teacher will give you so much more. It will give you continuous material to chew on. It will stimulate you by teaching you better and upgraded information inside Egyptian dance. So you're not going to be repeating the same movements and the same steps and the same choreography forever and ever. You will be expanding. You will be learning different styles within Egyptian dance. You're going to be pushed into higher levels of development and interpretation in Oriental dance. There's so much a good professional teacher can offer you that an amateur, unprofessional teacher cannot. And very often people get stuck and stale because they're studying with teachers who are not really teachers, okay? Who don't know Egyptian dance in depth and who don't have a pedagogy and a method that can stimulate students from the beginning until infinity, okay? The second thing, again, is to get interested in the culture. I've already mentioned that. Why? Because that's an area of interest and fascination that will never cease to exist. It will never finish. It will never end. If you start studying Egyptian dance history, Egyptian history, politics, religion, the language, the culture, if you study the Baladi subculture, if you study the behavior, the social issues of Egypt, if you only focus on these issues, you're going to find a matter of fascination and interest forever. You know, you're going to want to read Egyptian authors, you're going to want to listen to podcasts about Egyptian politics or religion or language. You're going to feel interested in so many parallel subjects that surround Egyptian dance, and there will not be a moment of boredom. I can assure you. It's very hard to get bored with Egyptian dance, I have to add. If you know how to do it well, okay? Choose a professional teacher and get interested in the world around it. Then be creative. Be creative and dynamic. I have already mentioned that, okay? If you don't want to get to that boredom area, to that I'm stuck, this is stale, I'm not gonna go anywhere with this anymore, I feel like I'm stuck. If you don't want to reach that moment, you also have to develop your own language. I mentioned that it's not only what you receive from the outside in, it's what you produce from the inside out. The more you use your creativity, the more you create your own dance movements, dance sequences, the more you get your hand in the mud and you start to shape it in your own way, the more stimulated you feel, the more challenged you feel, and the more interested and in love you will get with the dance. Okay, and I don't mean just for 1 year or two, forever. Forever. Okay, now how do I evolve as a person while I evolve as a dancer? This is another big one, especially in my work, because as I mentioned in the beginning of this session, my work is based on the premise that whatever I develop for Egyptian dance, I develop for life and vice versa. This is a concept I introduced many years ago. Now it's starting to get popular. This is a subject I explored in my first published book, The Secrets of Egypt, Dance, Life and Beyond. And I'm gonna leave you the link of the book in the comments to the replay so that you can check it if you have not read it yet. And there is a lot of doubt around this. What do you mean, Joana? Developing myself as a person, as I develop myself as a dancer. And of course, in order to answer fully, I would need to get you into one of my courses and into my school, Joana Saahirah's Online Dance School, because that's where I developed this concept of personal development connected with Egyptian dance. Okay, so the first thing I gotta do is invite you. Very soon I'm gonna launch my first signature course inside our school in the format of a membership, so you'll be able to join us monthly for monthly classes on Egyptian dance, culture, personal development and empowerment with my own registered method. Okay, but for the sake of this live session, here's what I can tell you. When you are studying Egyptian dance with a professional teacher, if there are professionals, and this is only my opinion, they will know how to create the space and the exercises to develop your character as well. And I do believe this comes from the method the teacher is using. So there are many things we develop in Egyptian dance, like self-awareness, who am I? Like body image, how do I treat and see my body? How do I use my body, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, to express myself and to be present in my dance and in my life fully? Okay, we develop self-confidence, we develop sensuality, we develop creativity, we develop assertiveness, communication, interpretation, so many skills that are skills for life. But you can only discover them and discover their benefits when you study with a teacher who can take you there. So there are no quick answers in relation to this question. How do I evolve as a person while I evolve as a dancer? You just get a teacher who knows how to take you there. That's the honest answer, okay? Tran is saying, I'm busy with my company meeting. Oh yeah, Tran, this will be on the replay, so feel welcome to check the replay, for sure. Now, another very common question is, can I evolve and become a great dancer just by watching videos on YouTube? Okay. And look, I have had my share of teachers who come to me telling me, I never studied with a teacher, I've learned on YouTube. Very proudly, they say it very proudly, as if it is a great thing. And here's the thing, we can learn a lot on YouTube, we can learn a lot from free content. I am a big believer in free content. At Joana Saahirah's World, I provide free, valuable content all the time. But if you want to learn in depth, you gotta subscribe to the course with a professional teacher. No, you cannot evolve and take your dance seriously if all you want to do is pick up free content from here and from there. You're not going to get anywhere. You're going to get tips, and you're going to get dispersed information, and you're going to get chaos, and you're going to get the illusion that you are learning a lot, but you're just stimulating yourself. You're not really evolving. In order to evolve, you need a method, you need a pedagogy, you need a strategy, you need someone who can take you from point A to point Z. And that can only be achieved with a professional teacher and with a continuous format of learning. What do I mean by this? You start the process, you persevere, and you conclude the process. This is why in the new signature course I'm about to launch at Joana Saahirah's online dance school, we will have different levels. Level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, professional level. And from level to level, you will have a certificate and you will have exams, and everything will be super clear and structured so that you know very well where you are, where you will be at the end of the first level, where you will be at the end of the second level, and so forth. There is a structure, there is a path that you are gonna make with your teacher. So it's like having someone taking you by the hand and saying, okay, I'm gonna show you the way. I cannot walk for you. You gotta walk with your own feet, but I will show you the way because I have made that way. I have walked that path many times over. So I'm gonna show you how it's done. So I'm gonna grab you by the hand and say, come with me. This is where we start. And now we go here, and now we go there, and now we go there. And at the end of the road, you will see the transformation. And then next stage, where are we? Where are we going? And how are we gonna go there? That's the method, that's the strategy, that's the pedagogy you're not gonna get in random YouTube videos. Put this in your beautiful mind, please. Okay? Free content is great for inspiration. I'm a producer of free content. I'm also a consumer of free content in different markets and different interests, okay? But I know that if I want to learn something for real, I have to focus and subscribe to the best course of the best teacher in what I want to evolve. That's it. I'm not gonna keep on browsing the YouTube searching for free content in search for evolution. No. Free content is great to give you inspiration, to show you if you like something, if you want to go deeper into a certain aspect or art form or theme, okay? But it is not the thing that is gonna allow you to develop fully. This is why we have schools. This is why we have universities. This is why we have degrees and certificates and exams. If we didn't have them, if there was no path, if there was no trajectory to take you from point 0 to point 100, and then from the 100 to the 1000, we wouldn't learn. We wouldn't learn anything in depth. So if you want to pick stuff from YouTube and believe that you're a professional and you're gonna dance like Shakira forever, have fun, but that's not what is gonna allow you to evolve. If you want to evolve, you gotta search for a teacher who knows their stuff and who knows how to take you from where you are to where you wanna go, okay? And focus, go deep, commit, not for the teacher, but for yourself, okay? This is it. So I had these questions for you. I hope they were useful. I hope the answers were inspiring, and I hope they will represent some sort of help, some sort of guidance for you. Evolution, I think, is not only the most interesting thing to do in your dance, but also in your life. I don't believe in comfort zones. I don't believe in staying where you are forever. I think that we should move forward and we should become the best version of ourselves every single day at everything that we do, and Egyptian dance is no exception. Enjoy the replay. Feel welcome to share your questions and your feedback. Let me know, what do you find the most difficult in your evolution, in your dance and in your life? And also let me know, what do you do when you want to push yourself forward, when you want to take a leap of faith and say, now I'm really gonna improve in my dance, I'm really gonna do that dance presentation, or I'm really gonna become a better dancer, better, well-rounded dancer. What do you do in order to get there? I want to know all about it in the comments to the replay to this video. If you're watching this on Facebook, you're also going to find the link to join Joana Saahirah's World newsletter, and by doing so you will be the first to receive our news and inspirations and insights. If you're watching the replay on YouTube, you're going to find it in the description box below this video. Check the link, join us, of course, subscribe to Joana Saahirah's YouTube channel, and I will see you very, very soon. Until then, you're gonna receive all my love and my usual warm kiss. Mwah.